Yo, what's up, guys? I just reached the level 45, and 45 is a pretty big milestone because this is where you can do Shadow Flame Hoyan, which is arguably one of the better dungeons out there. It does give a very good drop rate. Law of Silence, really good on a few particular units, but we're mainly aiming for, of course, Revelation, which is the best shell for PvE, especially if you want to do Doki Doki, because you just do percentage damage, and you did probably notice by this point that if you want to go into Doki Doki or even Aurora, that you have this damage reduction over here. Revelation goes straight through that. Revelation does not care about that at all. So for that reason, it's a lot easier to just still deal damage even if you might miss one of those hits. So in that case, what can we do against that? Well, also I've been doing Hell 4. I've been autoing Hell 4. Like, to be honest, like the auto Hell 4 team, I can show it real quick over here. It's not a manual Hell 4 team just yet. On the Termaton, I'm at Hell 2. I think I can do Hell 3 right now because I have enough DPS right now. Now my the thing is maxed. But I've been using this team and just a bit of like while watching a movie, doing some Hell 4s. But this team will definitely get a bit replaced later on the moment we have a more sophisticated team. But for that more sophisticated team, I need at least two good Revelations. One is going to be on Messiah. One is going to be on the Freya. Those two are the heavy rack stackers that I will use for that dungeon in particular. But to do that, of course, I have to go into Shadow Flame Hoyan. And Shadow Flame Hoyan is also a little bit more of a difficult dungeon, I would say, because you need a little bit more of specific tuning. So what do you want to do in Shadow Flame Hoyan is you want to make sure that the two sides are stunned, so therefore they don't counter. So what are a bunch of good units to go for the counter? Well, in this case, I'm using the Red Chachi. He has to move in the first position that actually hits the enemy. So I gave him my best shell for speed that I have right now with all of the best shell stats that are normally on this one over here. Let me also use that as preset. So that's definitely a little bit of sidetracking, but very useful to do. If I go back to Shadow Flame Hoyan, I want to have this speed tuning. However, if I'm doing the Doki Doki, I want to go back to the speed tuning where it's just different than what it is in this case. So also the Messiah set and the thing set are exactly the same set and they're getting overlapped. But always use this preset because it's just loading out your whole set right to that particular unit. And I think at this point in the game, that's where it starts getting very useful. So let's go into a round. We definitely do have to set it on focusing boss first. So we do have the Lily moving first, but right after that, we will have the Chachi Red moving, which is incredibly good for this. I will showcase a few other units that are good for this later, but I would say free-to-play options, Chachi Red is probably the best you have. So in this case, both sides are stunned. They're also pushed back, so they're not taking any turns anytime soon. Also, the Red Chachi will give attack buff to the thing, and the thing goes for a crazy hard hit. And from here, it's just a little bit bruisering it out, like you might get stunned by, or you might get hit by these things. The moment that they go up to the counterpoint of 7, that's where you have the Shadow Flame Hoyan going in for a second skill. And also that goes in for like pretty much straight up a double hit. And with that double hit, you pretty much get like guaranteed hit where, yeah, you're just gonna lose like the defense break on the unit if you have it in there. And that's just very annoying. So in case that you do not have a Death Breaker as Plume, because I think in the Asia server or like the China server, Korea server, and Japan server, they don't always will have the Plume. You have to go for any other defense breaker. Could be a Claws. Claws is really good for this. Could be a Dina. Both of them are really good for defense breakers. Another option you could go for, which is also good for defense breaking, is an RC77. So those are really good for the aims of defense break, and that's why you can see like the double hit potential that this unit does do the moment you don't fully kill it. But since we're that close to a kill right now, just a little bit of edge HP is totally fine to take out. So let's look at the gear first, and then let's look at the other replacements that you could do for mainly your stunning unit. But I would highly recommend make your Red Chachi. He feels like a little bit of in to make, but he's actually really strong in a lot of scenarios. He's just kind of low on the base speed because he's lower on the stars. For the Prowlers, you want to go for a 4-1-5. 5 is definitely needed over here, so you get more stun chance, and you want to go as high accuracy on him as possible. And the 4 you go for, you could even go for a 5-1-5. You definitely don't want to go in the second skill. That one is absolutely not useful. But the main thing you want to have is making sure that you have the higher stun chance, the turn meter push, and then also get the extra speed from this. And it helps a little bit for the turn meter push in here. Then we're looking at the thing. My thing is a full maxed 555, which I think is the highest recommended unit to make 555 right away, because then you can get away with just low crit rate, low crit damage, and just do a lot of damage that way. I don't really have the right modules for this altogether yet. I mostly tend to go for like a attack, a crit damage, and a crit rate. But I don't really have the right models for that yet, as mentioned. Would be nice if I also get a full completed Onslaught plus Keen Eyes, but I need a lot more 6 pieces for that, and therefore I would have to actually farm the Aurora, or not the Aurora, the Termaton on a 3 stage, which makes it a lot better. My defense breaker is literally nothing special at all. It's like half-assed, like uniques and whatnot. It's just trying to get as much accuracy as possible. I could definitely up the accuracy by making them plus 15, but this already, in my opinion, kind of works. And it's just looking at the particular speed. This shell also doesn't really matter. This shell also does not matter. And it's also more just the speed tuning for those two. So it's really easy to get into those. Other replacements, as I mentioned, the best replacement you can make if you do have that rather than the Rechachi is actually a... where she adds, this thing is always jumping around, Salins. Salins is so good because the Forgetfulness is a cannot be triggering the passive, and actually the counter hit is a passive. So for that reason, you will do crit down, you will do Forgetfulness. It used to be an attack down, but crit down is pretty decent as well. I would say attack down feels a little bit stronger because the enemy will not always crit on you. But it's still a really strong debuff, and it's multi-hitting, and with those multi-hits, you can apply that a lot because it's 4-time hit. That's with a 30 chance, and I think the chance doesn't go up with any of the skill ups, so you don't need any skill ups on it. 4 times 30 is definitely a pretty substantial number, especially if you make it to high accuracy. That's a 4 times 60. So that is definitely one of those things that works very well, and I do highly recommend it to go for Salins if you do have a Salins. Otherwise, Red Chachi is your best bet. I would see that people also do it with an Oboe, which is oddly enough one of the few that I haven't gotten myself just yet. Or you go in for a... I think that she might work as well. Yeah, I guess she can work as well, but I don't think she would be as strong. I would rather see an Oboe, or I would rather see maybe even a Kazuyo. But as mentioned, the Red Chachi is just crazy good, specific for Shadowflame Hoyan. And there's a few other stages where he's good as well. Plus, he's very low in the investment. As I mentioned, I only made it 4 stars, and it was already way more than enough. You just have to focus your speed gear on it, but you can switch those around later anyways. As mentioned, for the defense breaker, the most free-to-play option is the RC77. He does need max skills, or at least the skill up until this point, to get the higher chance of landing his Death Break, which is highly recommended. So that's a good AoE Death Breaker. We, of course, have the Claws, if I can find our Claws over here. Great Death Breaker, slow, hack in progress, really good one as well. Or you go for a Dina, which is sitting over here, which is a really good one. Might you not have the Lily, which of course is also an option if you chose anything else from the selection unit, then I would say Atsukiomi is pretty much a Lily. It's one of the best replacements to a Lily, which comes really close. That is definitely an option out there. If you don't have that, you could go for either a second DPS in any kind of shape or way form that you have a DPSer. I could also see something like a pair of a Shiaki the Echo for like just your attack buff and then doing some damage, or a combination of maybe something along this line for lowering the cooldowns and upping your speeds. And so there's a few options out there. Lily is a little bit harder to replace because that means you have to go for more of a damage investment. It is definitely an option. You could also go for Marvel to just go for pushback, slows, and make sure that you just delay the enemy taking the turn, having the defense break on it as long as possible, and therefore make your way work. So as mentioned, from now on, I will be farming a lot of Revelation, because Revelation is just so crazy good. And as you can see, well, it failed once, but that's probably just missing one of the side stunts or anything like that. But I definitely want to get a few Jackal Guards, because Jackal Guard is a really good shell, and I want to use a bunch of those. But definitely Revelation is going to be used, because my Messiah best damage output in Doki Doki, which I'm going to be main farming, is Messiah on Revelation. Freya is best on Revelation as well. And then in my Inferno team, I probably would need a Codex of Magic on you, and I would need a Codex of Magic on you. That is probably the game plan that I'm going to go for the full completed team. I'm not sure if I actually still want to put Plume in the Inferno team for Doki Doki, because she just provides the defense break, whereas this one provides a little bit more, because he has the... If we go to the skills, he has the defense break and the attack down. And because of the attack down, we have an easier land for you. However, if I pull a Salins, which I'm actually kind of hoping for, I can go for Salins plus Plume because then Salins is kind of doing the job of both you and you in one because you're just way more consistent at it. So if I were to pull a Salins, I would definitely go for a Plume, Lily, Messiah, and then wait, then I still have one slot. These three, I'm missing one unit at that moment. Oh, of course, Freya. So these three plus Freya and Salins would be the team over there then. And I think I would be mainly focusing on Doki Doki because, in my opinion, I still like the cleave style the most. And that is going to be my plan of approach. So for now, it's just once again following the hyperlink charter. And yeah, I've been clearing all of those thus far. Like the Sharon was relatively simple as well. I can showcase the team. I would say the Sharon on non-Inferno stage are very simple. It's just a team like this. Once again, Lily very replaceable as well. Also, if you do have a Doki Doki, it's really good against all of the debuffs for this team. So you can definitely use a Doki Doki in here as well. My Termaton team hasn't changed anything since the last time, but I can quickly show that in case you missed the last video. So as mentioned, I cannot do the Health 3 yet. Well, maybe I can kind of do it right now because I did get some upgrades on you right here, especially for the GP Outpost. But this is the team that I was using. At some point, I will probably replace Hellkit for a different kind of style of unit. Not 100% sure yet who I want to place in there just yet, but that is going to be the game plan for now until level 50. Moment we reach level 50, we're definitely going to go into the final one for the shells, or at least the final one that we see right now, which is the Rengokutsu, because we want to get some of those Codex of Magic, because that will enable me for the Inferno farming. And all I'm doing right now is prepping myself for Inferno farming. So I am thinking that I can already do a pretty decent job at farming Nikonana on Inferno. That is going to be one of the main things that I'm farming as well. But it's also one of the easiest dungeons out there. So this one on the Inferno, I don't expect too much difficulties for this one at all. As you can see, people are legit like 3-manning it for the fastest teams. But if we look at recent clears, it's more on the lines of like just whatever damage dealers. And yeah, it's definitely one of those more substantial, easy teams out there, or easier dungeons out there in the first place. So that one I don't have to focus that much on to get good. But Shadowflame Hoyan, if you want to do Inferno, the team that I just showcased can do Inferno the moment you do enough damage. So, and you have enough speed and those kind of things. So that's definitely important to already have like a solid base. Because definitely you can do the Shadowflame Hoyan with a different team. But the moment you want to go into Inferno, this is already a solid team for the Inferno. And it does look like I'm lacking a little bit of damage, but that's just, I would say, shell issue. Or not even shell issue, module issue. My shells are kind of on point at the moment, at least for his. That's on the White Fang right there. But yeah, it's still lacking a little bit of like just proper stats to do enough damage altogether and those kind of things. So we still have to up the modules a little bit by just getting more stats in there in the first place. Especially this one, that's definitely very replaceable, but I don't really have a good replacement as of yet. I could replace it with this though. Would add in a little bit more stats, but I don't really like upping things with like just 2 pieces. I prefer to do it on the 3 pieces, but I think for now, we probably just have to send it because it also has decent substats, and the decent substats actually make it where, yeah, that's actually... This is one of those like sad that it's not on a 3-piece, because that's actually a pretty good substantial one right there, and that will definitely increase the damage output by a good bit. So right now these are pretty good. It's just that I'm not having that much crit rate or crit damage, but at least from the passive, the crit rate, crit damage is kind of amplified. I also don't have that many skill ups on this, so if I get the ups on this, it would be a lot better, but haven't been that lucky to get any of those. I might be aiming for those to buy from, I think you have that shop thing over here. If we go for this, the Anima shop, can I buy the thing in here? No, this one, I could buy the thing in here. I don't think I will buy any dupes for the SSRs. So, to be honest, I'm just gonna send it on the thing because he's just gonna be one of my main damage dealers, because I'm not planning to get the Lilium. He's going to be my main damage dealer for a very lengthy time, so he is worth it to get that extra few crit rates in and all of that kind of good stuff. Just to make my life a little bit easier in PvE, because in the end you need to do PvE to get to the PvP, and that's how it works. Guys, thanks a lot for watching for this one. I'll be doing an update video probably the moment I hit level 50, so that's going to be in about, I would say, 3 to 4-ish days from now. And then we'll be talking about, okay, can I already go into Infernos right away? Because the level 50 is when the Infernos unlock for Nikonana. That's the one over here. I think I can go into that one right away. And then it's also the question, can I already go towards Doki Doki Inferno? Because that does unlock on 50. I don't think so just yet. But for that reason, I think I will do a little bit of a Rengoku to get my Codex of Magics in. A little bit of Nikonana to maybe get a 3-liner, which would help me a bit more. And then we're going to go into the Doki Doki Inferno. That is going to be the game plan. So, as mentioned, thanks a lot for watching for this one. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. See you as always in the next one.